All right, so it's been a couple days since I seen this movie. I just have to let it marinate a bit. I saw it Saturday, but the movie being Backrooms. Now, before I even start my review, I just want to say that I'm a pretty big fan of the Backrooms. I've been watching the original YouTube videos for quite some time. I'm pretty sure I was there when it came out, and I absolutely loved it. I can't remember when I fully discovered it, but it wasn't that long after it came out. And I just thought that back then, while watching these videos, that this would make a great movie, like genuinely. And they finally did make a movie, and it's actually from the same person who made the YouTube shorts. So that's honestly really awesome. The only question is the movie is the movie good? And in my opinion, yes. I love the Backrooms. I think it lived up to a lot of my expectations, and it just has a lot of things that I really enjoy, which I'm just gonna spitball the things I do enjoy because I don't want to make this video like super duper long. But the biggest compliment I can give the movie, honestly, is that I think it did the concept re- really well. Like it took the concept that Kane had, that he came up with originally in the shorts, and just basically expanded upon it. This movie is basically a expanded version of that original YouTube video, and I think it's really well done. I love a lot of the new lore elements that he added to this film. I thought it made the movie and just the concept of the backrooms much more interesting. I'm not gonna really say what those new lore elements are, just to not spoil anything. But I think a lot of the new story beats that he added to this film was really good, and I think it made the idea of the backrooms even more interesting. Another thing I love is the characters. I actually really do enjoy the characters in this movie. I think both of them are decently written. I think we get to learn a decent amount about both of them, and I like how whenever these characters do go into the backrooms, how this place affects both of them in different ways. More so the main guy than the psychiatrist, but I'm not going to go too knee deep on what happens. But let's just say that I enjoyed their characters. I enjoyed their backstory. You just got to remember that this movie is more so about the feeling and the atmosphere of the backrooms than it is the characters. But I do think that the movie has some decently written characters, and I did enjoy their stories. And I also just love the little small details about them, especially in the environmental storytelling this movie has. Which there were some small things I did notice that revolved back to these characters and in the back rooms, and I just thought it's really well done. Like this is definitely a movie that you gotta pay attention to notice the little small things in the storytelling. And I really enjoyed that. Like I was having a conversation with my sister about it because she watched it before me. She told me to go watch it. I mean, I was gonna watch it either way, but she also loved the film, and she told me I was gonna love it. And yeah, she's right, I loved it. But we were having a little discussion about that, and there was this specific thing that I didn't even notice in the film until she told me about it. And like when I went to rewind in my brain, I was like, "Oh yeah," like it clicked with me, and I really liked that. I love talking about movies, and I especially this one. I had some really good conversations about this film with her. But yeah, that's just one of the things I love, the little small story details you have from the environment. And I guess another thing that I love is the atmosphere. I love the atmosphere of this movie. I think it is genuinely really creepy and really unsettling. It made me feel very uneasy while watching it, especially the scenes where it's shot in first person, which is how the original videos were shot. And I like that they go back to the style of how the original videos were shot, where it's very grainy. The video quality doesn't look the best. It makes the film feel more tense, in my opinion. Like those scenes, when we do get to those parts, are my favorite parts of the movie. Like they are genuinely terrifying, and I was actually pretty scared, anticipating to see what would come because again, everything's shot from first person. This is not like a huge spoiler. I think they do show that a little bit in the trailers, but I love those scenes. Those scenes are the best scenes in the movie, and they're the most terrifying scenes in the movie, in my opinion. But I love it, and a lot of it just has to do again with just the way the video quality is. Again, I'm a big fan of analog horror and just liminal space horror, and this movie just took all those things and just blended it to make a really good atmospheric film. I love the sets of the movie. I really enjoy how everything looks. I think the cinematography is good. Like I enjoy it pretty well. I think the first and third act are definitely the best parts of the film. I think the second act isn't bad, but again, I like it more when we're in the back rooms. Like we're not always there. That's as much as I'll say, but those parts aren't bad. But I enjoyed the movie a lot more when we were in the back rooms. And when we are in the back rooms, it feels great. Like I get lost in this world just like the characters are getting lost. And it's again, it's pretty scary. It's a pretty scary movie. Like I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty scary and I really enjoyed it. But another thing that I love is again the creature designs. I'm not gonna go too knee deep into it, but let's just say I like the little updated designs they did from the original source material, even though I prefer the original ones, but I think these new updated ones are good. And again, the little lore detail they add to these creatures makes it very, very interesting. Like I really enjoy the new little details they added to this film. And I think the backrooms in general, the way everything looks great. Like, oh my god, what's the right word? It feels very, oh my god, I don't even know what's the right word, but foreboding. I think foreboding is the right word. Like it feels very foreboding when you enter these rooms, and it's just really unsettling. It's just really unsettling. Like I felt uncomfortable watching it, but like I said, in a good way. I think the movie did its job. It is a film that will make you feel uncomfortable, and I like that. But yeah, that's again the new creatures. They're good. Like I like the way they look, and I like the representation, what they represent. I think it's very interesting. The only complaints I have, because again, I don't have a lot of complaints about this movie. Like I said, the performances are good. I enjoy the story, even though it's not really the main focus. But again, the biggest compliment I can give this film is just its atmosphere. It's really good at telling an atmospheric horror story, and I just really did enjoy that. It did a wonderful job of that. But the only complaints I can really have is that I wish, without getting into spoilers, I wish the movie explored a little bit more of the different levels in the back room. Like I'm not gonna say the movie doesn't touch upon that. It does, but I wish that it was explored a little more. You know, like we do get a little bit of it, but not enough in my opinion. And I wish there were more creatures. I will say. I'm not gonna say how many there are in this film, but I wish there was a little bit more variety in that because there's a little bit more variety in the original stories. And again, like I wish certain levels got explored more than others. That is all I'll say, honestly, without getting into spoilers. But besides that, that's really the only complaints I have. Like I genuinely think this is a really good, well done atmospheric horror film. Like if you love analog horror and you love liminal space horror, you're gonna love this movie. Like genuinely, I think you are gonna like this movie a lot. But I again, another thing I will say is that it is a bit slow, especially towards the second half. If you don't like slow films, I can't see yourself enjoying this much. But since I like slow films, I don't mind that at all. I feel like the slow parts of the film add up to the horror because again, you're kind of anticipating something whenever the movie does slow down a bit, and you're wondering what's gonna come next. But I can see some other people just finding that boring. Like I can see that, but that's not me. I personally loved it. But I don't really have a lot to complain besides the two things I mentioned. I genuinely loved the Backrooms. I thought it was a great movie. It might even be my favorite movie of the year. Like this movie lived up to my personal hype, and I really did enjoy it. And I'm glad that it turned out good. Like I said, it's basically an expanded version of the original source material. And one thing I will add, I probably already mentioned this, but I also like how again how the Backrooms affects the characters, especially the main guy. Like he does go through a change through the film, and you can see how this place affected him in a pretty negative way, you know. And I also like again the backstory of the characters, especially the psychiatrist, because you're kind of wondering why she makes certain decisions. But once you know her backstory, you understand why she makes certain decisions that you're like, I wouldn't do that, you know. But I understand. I understand why she makes those decisions. Like it defines her as a person, and it has a lot to do with her backstory. Like her backstory does motivate her as a person throughout this film. That's as much as I'll say without getting into spoilers. I honestly don't want to spoil anything that much in this film. Like, I really do think you should go into this movie mostly blind. And again, the movie is scary, especially this one scene, which I'm going to spoil a little bit because, you know, it's in the trailer. This is the scene where one of the main characters is running through the hallway and it gets tighter and tighter. That's also one of my favorite scenes. That legit terrified me because, you know, tiny spaces, I don't think I'm good at that. Like, I would actually get pretty scared. So just seeing that in the theater as she just runs through this little hallway and it gets thinner and thinner, It was pretty terrifying. Like I'm not gonna lie, I felt very uncomfortable. But that's just again, that's just how the movie really is. Like it's a very uncomfortable watch, especially if you're claustrophobic a little bit, which I think I am a little bit. It can be a very scary and uncomfortable watch in a good way. Like I said, in a very good way. But yeah, I love the Backrooms. I don't have a lot of complaints. The only complaints I have is what I mentioned earlier. For the most part, I think this movie really did a good job, and it expanded upon the original mythos and just made it better with its new additions to the lore and the new concept it puts into this film. It's just really well done, and I like the ending. I like the ending. I also like that this movie doesn't spoon feed you information. I like that it keeps things mostly mysterious. Like you really do have to figure out a lot of things on your own, and I appreciate that. I really like when movies do that. Like they don't over explain anything, and this movie doesn't really do that in my opinion. And I like that a lot of things are left to your own volition, your own interpretation. But yeah, I love the Backrooms. I think it's a great movie. It might even be my favorite movie of the year. I'm gonna give it maybe 5 stars. I'm kind of leaning to 4.5 because of those two complaints I have. But honestly, I don't really care. I'm still gonna give it 5 stars. I just really had a good time with this movie, and it honestly lived up to my expectations. This and Obsession are probably going to be like my favorite movies of the year. They're gonna make it in the top 10, or at least the top five. I'm just gonna have a hard time choosing which one I like more, this or Obsession. But I will say that both are great movies. But I guess if I had to pick, I do think I like the Backrooms a little bit more, just because I'm more familiar and more nostalgic for this concept because I've seen the original YouTube videos and I've been wanting a movie about this for a really long time. And I think the film adaptation lived up to the hype, in my opinion. It was a great movie, and I can't wait to see it again. Like I'm actually gonna go see it again, and this time I'm gonna take my sister with me because I want both of us to experience this film together. So yeah, please go watch this movie. It's a great movie. I really enjoyed it, and it gets my high recommendation. Like I said, I'd give it 5 stars. It's great.